The mind, in its raw and untrained state, behaves like a restless child. It jumps from one thought to another, endlessly seeking stimulation, approval, or satisfaction. Most people spend their lives being dragged around by this unruly companion, thinking that the mind's noise is their true voice. But the truth is, the mind was never meant to lead. It was meant to serve. When the divine says, "Bring your mind under my control," it is a reminder that your mind must become your instrument, not your identity. When you allow the mind to rule you, life becomes reactive rather than responsive. Every situation triggers you, every word shakes you, and every failure feels final. You become a slave to mental patterns, fears, desires, regrets, and expectations. The mind begins to dictate your moods, your relationships, your choices. You are no longer living, you are merely existing under the tyranny of thought. But when you recognize that your mind is only a tool, you start reclaiming your inner kingdom. To bring the mind under divine control means to bring it into stillness and awareness. A mind that listens to higher intelligence does not wander into negativity or illusion. It becomes calm, sharp, and purposeful. Just as a river flows wildly when unchecked but nourishes life when channeled, the mind too must be guided to flow toward truth. It is through awareness and surrender that the mind becomes a faithful servant of your soul's purpose. The first step is observation, to simply watch the mind without judgment. The one who watches is higher than the one who thinks. That awareness is the beginning of divine control. When you begin to see your thoughts instead of becoming them, you create distance between you and your mind. In that space, divine intelligence begins to work. You no longer react impulsively, you respond consciously. You move from chaos to clarity. The mind is a beautiful instrument, capable of imagination, creativity, and reasoning, but it must be disciplined with devotion. If you sharpen a knife without purpose, it can harm, but if guided by skill, it becomes an instrument of creation. Similarly, the mind must be trained through meditation, reflection, and surrender. Then it no longer becomes a source of suffering, but a source of strength. It serves your higher purpose rather than your lower impulses. Bringing your mind under divine control does not mean suppressing thoughts. It means transforming them. It means allowing the light of consciousness to illuminate every dark corner where fear hides. It means turning your thoughts into prayers and your worries into trust. When the divine holds the reins of your mind, your thoughts begin to harmonize with the rhythm of life itself. You no longer chase peace. Peace begins to follow you. When the mind becomes the servant of the divine, it functions effortlessly. Decisions come from clarity, not confusion. You begin to see life as it is, not as your emotions project it to be. The mind becomes silent yet aware, active yet peaceful. Such a mind is no longer a burden, it becomes a bridge between the human and the divine. It turns every moment into meditation, every action into worship. A mind under divine guidance is like a lamp lit within. It shines without effort. Its light spreads naturally, illuminating thoughts, words, and actions. It does not seek control over others, it seeks mastery over itself. Such mastery is not forced, it is graceful. The mind becomes your companion on the path, not your captor. In that sacred alignment, you realize the true meaning of freedom, not freedom from the mind, but freedom through the mind. Money, at its core, is not just paper, metal, or numbers on a screen. It is energy. It carries vibration, intention, and consciousness. Every coin, every note, every transaction holds a fragment of the energy with which it was earned and spent. When the divine says, "Bring your money under my control," it is not a rejection of wealth, it is a call to purify the energy behind it. Because money itself is neutral. It is the consciousness behind it that determines whether it becomes a force of light or a shadow of greed. When you see money merely as a means of survival, you shrink its sacred potential. But when you recognize it as spiritual energy, you begin to use it consciously. It no longer serves your ego, it serves your evolution. The money you earn, when aligned with divine purpose, begins to flow naturally. It becomes a channel of giving, healing, and creating rather than hoarding, competing, and destroying. When money moves in awareness, it multiplies not just in quantity, but in quality. Many people live in a silent war with money. They chase it, fear it, or resent it. They treat it as something separate from spirituality, as if seeking God and earning money cannot coexist. But the divine never said wealth is wrong. The problem is not in having wealth, it is in being possessed by it. When money controls you, it becomes a barrier. When you control it through divine awareness, it becomes a blessing. Money, like fire, can cook your meal or burn your home. It depends on who holds it and how it is used. Every time you earn money with integrity, you infuse it with light. Every time you spend it with gratitude, you keep that light flowing. But when you earn it with deceit or spend it with arrogance, that light dims. This is why some people have abundance but no peace. Their wealth vibrates with anxiety. Others, with far less, live in grace, because their money carries the fragrance of surrender. It is not the amount that matters, it is the energy that travels with it. To bring money under divine control means to stop worshipping it and start using it as worship. When you give, you are not losing, you are releasing energy back into the universe. The divine multiplies that which is shared in awareness. Every act of giving creates space for new abundance to enter. But hoarding from fear closes the flow. The more you cling to money, the more it slips away. The more you trust divine circulation, the more it returns to you in unseen ways. Money is also a reflection of your inner state. If your mind is filled with lack, your life mirrors it. If your heart radiates gratitude and purpose, abundance finds its way to you. This is not mere philosophy. It is the law of spiritual energy. When you bless the money in your hand and send it forth with good intention, it carries your vibration and returns multiplied. The divine becomes your silent accountant, balancing what you give and what you receive in perfect harmony. Look deeply. Every currency note passes through countless hands, each leaving its mark of thought and emotion. Imagine if more people handled money with awareness, reverence, and gratitude. The very energy of the world would shift. Transactions would no longer be cold exchanges, they would become sacred movements of energy. When you spend, invest, or give in the name of divine purpose, that money becomes a living prayer, circulating through the world, blessing whoever it touches. When money flows under divine guidance, you stop asking, "How much do I have?" and start asking, "How much good can I do?" Wealth becomes service, earning becomes meditation, spending becomes offering. In that awareness, every act involving money turns spiritual, because it no longer revolves around you, it revolves around the divine. Then money ceases to be material, it becomes a medium through which love, purpose, and divinity express themselves in the physical world. Divine control is not about domination, it is about synchronization. It is not a force that overpowers your will, but a guidance that aligns your will with a higher intelligence. When your actions, thoughts, and desires move in harmony with divine intention, life begins to flow with ease and grace. You no longer feel torn between what you want and what is right, they become one. This is conscious alignment, when your inner world vibrates in rhythm with the purpose of creation itself. Most people live in disconnection. Their mind goes one way, their heart another, and their body yet another. This fragmentation creates inner chaos, a sense of restlessness that no amount of wealth or pleasure can calm. But when divine control enters, it brings alignment. The mind starts to obey the wisdom of the soul, and the body follows with discipline and purpose. Life begins to feel coherent, as if every step, every word, and every breath carries a sacred meaning. This harmony is the true essence of divine control. Conscious alignment is not a sudden revelation, it is a gentle process of awareness. It begins when you start paying attention to the subtle signals of the divine in your daily life. The way certain paths open while others close, the way peace settles when you make the right choice, the way discomfort arises when you resist the inner voice. All these are signs of divine direction. To align consciously is to listen deeply, to act with awareness, and to trust the intelligence that moves through you. When you operate under divine control, your actions are no longer motivated by ego or fear. You don't chase success blindly, nor do you resist failure desperately. You begin to act with intention, detached from the outcome, knowing that whatever unfolds is part of divine orchestration. This does not make you indifferent, it makes you deeply aware. You still participate fully in life, but you no longer fight against it. You become a conscious participant in a divine play, not a confused actor lost in his role. Divine control does not suppress individuality, it refines it. When you align consciously with higher wisdom, your natural gifts, creativity, and potential bloom effortlessly. You start to see that your uniqueness is not a rebellion against the divine, it is an expression of it. Just as every flower blooms in its own color, yet remains part of the same garden, you too express divinity through your distinct being. Alignment does not erase you, it reveals the real you beneath the layers of confusion. Conscious alignment also brings immense clarity. You begin to see the difference between what your mind wants and what your soul needs. Many desires that once felt urgent begin to dissolve, replaced by a quiet knowing of what truly matters. Your priorities shift from survival to significance, from possession to purpose. In that clarity, decisions no longer feel heavy, they feel natural. You start moving not from compulsion, but from connection. In divine alignment, even challenges take on new meaning. What once appeared as obstacles now feel like invitations to grow. Pain becomes a teacher, delay becomes preparation, and loss becomes redirection. You begin to see that divine control is not about removing difficulties, it is about awakening you through them. Every experience becomes a step toward deeper awareness. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start realizing, "This is happening for me." When you consciously align with divine control, life stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a blessing. Every sunrise feels like a message, every encounter like a mirror, every moment like a doorway to awareness. You no longer struggle to make life work, life begins to work through you. You move through the world with grace, stability, and purpose. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are perfectly aligned with the divine that moves within all things. My dear ones, the divine does not wish to take anything away from you. Not your wealth, not your success, not your individuality. It only asks for your awareness, your surrender, your trust. When your mind and your money come under divine control, you do not lose them. They are transformed. Your mind becomes a channel of peace, and your money becomes a river of blessings. What once caused anxiety becomes an instrument of harmony. Remember, God never demanded ownership. He invited partnership. When you allow Him to guide your thoughts, your choices, and your resources, you begin to live not as a struggler, but as a co-creator of destiny. The divine does not want you to abandon the world, it wants you to see the sacredness within it. Every thought, every coin, every breath can become an offering when done in awareness. The world tells you to control everything, but the divine whispers, let me lead your mind and you will find clarity. Let me guide your wealth and you will discover abundance. Let me dwell in your decisions and your path will be effortless. When you surrender your mind, your money, and your will to the divine, you do not fall, you rise. You rise above fear, above attachment, above illusion. And in that rising, you taste the deepest truth. Everything you thought was yours was never separate from the divine at all. You were never the owner, you were always the vessel. So bring your mind, bring your money, bring your life, and lay them gently at the feet of the divine. Let His wisdom think through you, His love act through you, and His abundance flow through you. Then you will know what it truly means to live in grace, a life where nothing is yours, yet everything is given.